One. What's up, guys? It is Sam here, and I'm here with my buddy Justin, who has been doing wholesaling for a while. If you've been following along, this is day number 36 for me since I got into wholesaling here in South Carolina. And I connected with Justin on Instagram probably, what is it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, almost. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we stayed in touch, and Justin's been doing wholesaling. So I figured it would be awesome for some of you who are just starting out, and for me to just hear Justin's story, because where he's at right now, just completely killing it, is an inspiration to a lot of people. So Justin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Awesome, man. So, honestly, I'm 19 years old. I've been doing wholesaling around a year and a half. I helped build a seven-figure acquisitions firm. We're kind of steering away from the name wholesaling because, as you know, once you go ahead and acquire these properties, you can pretty much do whatever you please with them. You could go ahead and sell them yourself. You could go ahead and do creative financing, and you could go ahead and get that assignment fee, which most people are looking for. Or it all matters how you play your cards, right? But I helped build a seven figures acquisitions company. It's been a super crazy journey, man. Honestly.
Well, so how did you initially hear about like wholesaling, or what was it that like brought you into it? And you're only 19 and you're already killing this. So think about where you're going to be in 29 when you're 29, and you're going to be absolutely murdering
Definitely, man. Honestly, it's been a crazy journey. Ever since a young kid, I want to really throw it back because I've always been involved in real estate in my whole entire life. My mom was actually a realtor, right? And she was going through the 2008 recession. We lost our house. We went through our trials and tribulations at that time. And the biggest thing that was working for her as a realtor, because most people weren't putting their property on the market and nobody was buying that was going to go ahead and actually live in the home. It was only investors purchasing. So what she was doing was she was getting all these short sales. She was getting short sales and selling it to investors.
it. So
So
just for my, because I don't have a short sales, essentially when somebody owes more on their house than what it's actually worth.
yes, yeah. And then you got to negotiate with the bank, and you're shorting the bank of what they're owed, basically.
Okay.
So basically, it's a little bit of a longer process, but basically that's all she was getting because most people were going into foreclosure, right? And my mom gave me the opportunity. She's like, "Yo, here's a stack of flyers. Go into the park and hand them out." So I was like a crazy kid, just handing out flyers to people trying to get a foreclosure. And 2 weeks later, I got a deal, and I ended up making like 500, 600 bucks at like 8 years old from a deal.
Oh, so you were 8 years old, and your mom's like, it's 2008 roughly,
2008, literally 2008. Yeah.
and she's like, were you asking her how to make money? And she's like, here, test these flyers out.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I want an allowance. And she's like, go pass these flyers out. And I'm like, awesome. Okay, for sure. And that led into like me door knocking houses with her and just trying to like make money in real estate. And from there, like she noticed that like I was super intrigued. So she would take me to the office and she would always introduce me to her investors. Like, because those were all the people that were buying, literally doctors or whoever had money at that time to buy real estate. So I started drifting away from a realtor because that was my first original goal, drifting away to a realtor and looking at investors like, okay, so you're the guy with the money. I want to be like you, right? So I ended up saving a lot of money from the age of 8 to like 18. I ended up saving around $20,000, right? And I was like, I'm going to invest. That's my only goal. I need to go ahead and invest into property and maybe do college, right? I ended up finding out college wasn't for me. I was always the type of person that like I need to be in the field doing something. If I'm not in the field doing something, I feel like I'm doing nothing. I can't sit in the classroom because it's just not me. So I ended up wanting to go ahead and be an investor, right? I was
By the
looking
way, I
around.
think that's a strength. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that's a strength because a lot of people will continue with college just
Yeah,
because their parents say it's like the right thing to do,
yeah,
and like, oh, you should go to college, but they know deep down that it's not the right fucking thing to do, and yet
yeah.
they continue to waste more years and more time and money doing something that they know they shouldn't be doing, and to be self-aware enough to just be like, hey, F this, even if you have the pressure from the people around you that are like,
Yeah.
hey, Justin, you should go to school. So I think that's actually a strength.
No, yeah. So you're gonna hear throughout the story, I'm super rebellious. I was a really rebellious kid. I did what I wanted, and it kind of got me to the position where I've been in. So it got to the point where like, okay, look, it's time to invest your money, right? And my mom was like, spend your money in college. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That is not what I'm gonna do at all. And she was like, no, this is what you need to do. Like, this is gonna secure your future. And I'm like, I just don't feel like it's gonna secure my future. So a few months went by. I didn't go to college. And I was working at like this gym, and this is where like the sales started. So like I got like this really hands-on with sales, and I was like, look, I need to go ahead and invest this money. So I found a partner named Jesse, J Monopoly on Instagram. Shout out to him. That's one of my mentors. He basically told me, he's like, yo, bro, I could teach you how to flip. I could teach you how to do everything. It's like 18 grand, and I'll run you through the steps of everything, literally A to Z. And I'm like, okay, sounds fucking perfect. Like, I see you being successful. I see you around doing like 5, 10 flips a month. That's not an issue at all because I know how much a flip costs. You know, you're spending anywhere from like $40,000 to $60,000 without hard money. So, and that's like on a good deal. So I was looking at him like, all right, perfect. So first, I had to convince my mom. So, because she was holding the money for me because I was so young, and she was like, no, he's a scammer. And I'm like, mom, just listen, like, just have one meeting with the guy, right? So, I kind of forced her to go to lunch with him, and they sit at lunch, and he's this 20-year-old kid making 6 figures, 23-year-old kid making 6 figures, and he's like going crazy out. And my mom's like, yeah, no, no, he's a scammer. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So literally, we left the meeting. She's like, come with me. I'll take you to one of my investors. So she takes me to one of her investors. We come to his house, huge house that he had developed himself, huge house that he had developed himself. And gates open. I walk in. He sits me in his open plan floor, just crazy stuff. And I'm like sitting there, and he's like, yeah, man, he's a scammer. I'm like, I'm like, no, no way. So he's like, look, I got you. I'm gonna teach you how to flip personally, because I flipped in this area for so many years. I got you. Invest the 20K with me, and I'll give you a return, right? So he's like, he's starting a flip in Tarzana. He's gonna give me like a 2% return, which if anyone out there, a 2% return on the gap fund, which that's what I was doing. I was funding his repairs. Is fucking terrible. That's like something that you should not take at all. You should be looking at a minimum 10% quick tip.
And the reason for that, briefly for those that you don't know, like you're gonna have like the other funding that's going to be the first lien on the property, and then
Yeah,
the repair dollars or repair fund or
yeah,
reno fund or whatever, however
yeah,
it's worded, that's going to be a second lien on the property. So it's
yeah,
much risky, much more
yeah.
risky. So to get 2% is just complete garbage.
Exactly. I was second position, so it was not it. So um, but my mom's like, look, he's a good guy. I've been working for him for a while. So just take the opportunity. And I'm like, okay, like I speak my mind. So I'm like, all right, perfect. Like, how long are we gonna close in? What's when am I gonna go ahead and get my pay? When am I gonna go ahead and get paid? How are you gonna mentor me? Da da. It turns out like we started this mentorship in May, right? And
May of what year?
May 2018, and around December 2018, nothing had been done to the property. I had been there twice, nothing had been done. And I'm sitting there thinking like, well, this is going to shit. Like, I'm just losing money. It's just sitting there. It's depreciating while it's sitting there. So I need to find an exit strategy, right? So I'm at this point, I'm like kind of like panicking a little bit. Like once things don't start working out, I get antsy. So I'm like, all right, let me figure this out. So I take a drive 4 hours from my house to San Diego to come visit Jesse. I'm like, bro, this shit's not moving. I don't know what's going wrong. And he's like, yo, like you fucked up already. But listen, I got you. Pull the money out, and I'll still mentor you. And I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm with it. So I come back up north for another 3 hours, sit down and talk to my mom. She's like, yeah, you're crazy. You're not gonna ever pull that money out of that investment. So this is going back and forth for like 3 weeks, and I'm getting frustrated. So one day I'm sitting at work, and I'm like, no, fuck this. So I call the investor, and I'm like, hey man, how's it going? It's me. How you doing? Yeah, I'm going to college, so I'm gonna need $20,000 back. And he's like, you're going to college? I'm like, yeah, I'm moving to New York in like a month, so yeah, I'm going to college. He's like, let me call your mom. And I'm like, so he calls my mom. My mom calls me back and she's like threatening to kick me out. I'm like, look, I'm not like, I don't care. I need the money. So I get the money. I call Jess.
What was that conversation like with your mom?
You get that money, you're leaving my house. And I'm like, all right, all right. I don't.
Wow. Okay.
So,
You got to do what you got to do, man.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And I called back Jesse. And hey, bro, I got the 20,000. He's like, bro, we were just presented on Forbes. The tickets price went up to 40,000. And I'm like, just distraught. I'm sitting there like, I have this money now. What the fuck did I just do? He's like, let me call you back in a few days. And then this time I'm trying to sell multi-million-dollar deals for my laptop, trying to figure this out, working in a fucking gym, trying to literally scrape up every penny I could get, maybe apply for a loan. I was thinking of literally A through Z. How can I fix this? How can I go ahead?
So the property, what is this property underneath your name? The one.
No, I wasn't tied to it at all. I literally had no lien position on it. All I had was an investment, and then we had a contract saying I was gonna get 2% back. That was it. That was literally it.
Okay.
Right? And what ended up happening. So he calls me back a few days later. He's like, hey, man, I got this other opportunity for you. Look, you can't, because the person that was going to originally mentor me was through him called Brian Adamson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a big flipper name. So he's like, look, we can't do that flipping program anymore because his ticket sale went up and I want to still help you. Look, I'm going to teach you how to wholesale. And I'm like, what the fuck is wholesale? And he's like, just trust me. Like this is a whole different beast, but you're gonna handle it. I'll mentor you from flipping, wholesaling, and credit for $20,000. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. And he's like, just know there's like no guarantee for anything. And I'm like, I'm with it, whatever. So I told my mom, I'm like, he's like, fly out to New York this weekend because I'm gonna be hosting an event and I want you to be there. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm on thin ice with my job already. And I call out sick. I go to New York. And first time in my life, I'm surrounded by multiple seven-figure earners, six-figure earners. And I'm like starstruck right now. I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. I'm like around the network that I've always wanted to be in. I'm in the circle. And you know that quote, like, there's a circle, there's an inner circle in every city of yours. I felt like I was in that inner circle. So I had finally reached that, and he's like, this is what it's gonna be. This is how we're gonna do it. So I come back to California. I quit my job, and I tell my mom, look, I'm going to San Diego. And at this point, he's like, yo, you could come stay for a few days. And she's like, you leave, you're not coming back. And I'm like, okay. So
Is she pissed at you still about the money?
so mad, so mad, so mad. Didn't get mad until didn't stop being mad until a few weeks later. So I get to San Diego, and I had 2 suitcases. I remember this. So I had a like a gym bag with a little bit of clothes in it, and a whole suitcase in my car with like all my shit in it. And I brought the little gym bag in, so it looked like I was staying for a few days. I had a whole suitcase with me because I was like, I'm living out of my car. Like, I'm gonna make this work. I don't care how it works. I'm gonna make this work. So I come and like day by day, I'm slowly like I'm staying and I'm staying. I'm like 2 weeks go by. Actually, a week and a half goes by.
So what happens? What happens in that first week and a half from like a learning standpoint, and were you starting to work already?
Yeah. So a week and a half in, I get my first deal. And this is probably like the easiest fucking deal I've ever done in my life. Literally, we call this guy named Chris the Shark, and he buys the deal in 3 days. And we get a check, and we go pick it up at escrow for $25K. And I'm like, okay, this is real. So I just got paid $25,000. I'm 18 years old, and I call my mom, and she's like, "Come back home." And I'm like, "No."
Did she not believe? Did she not believe that you got paid 25,000?
I sent her a picture of the check, and she's like, "Wow!" Like she's just starstruck, and she's like, "You come back home," and I'm like, "No, like it's over. I'm staying. And I ended up living on a couch for a year, helping build a 7-figure company. I literally helped build a 7-figure company from a couch.
Wow.
And we ended up growing exponentially.
And so that was happening at the end of 2018, going into 2019.
That was at the beginning of 2019.
So it hasn't even been a year and a half yet then.
No, it hasn't been a year and a half yet.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, okay, during the past year, I'm sure you've experienced a lot of different types of deals with the pace of growth that you've had.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk about like the a deal where like you've made the most amount of money? But before you get into telling everybody how much money you made on that deal, can you talk about the deal a little bit? Like what was going on? What was their motivation? Why did they want to get out of it? And then a little bit about the deal.
Okay. Let me think. So we had a deal that our partners partnered up on a few weeks ago. The guy was super distressed. He was going through a lot of situations, and he ended up wanting to sell for $75,000. I wasn't completely attached to the deal. I was more in the transactions end and like helping out in the back end. So like, we ended up getting paid $75,000 for that one, and that was like our highest produced deal. But no deal is easy, you know. Like I'm telling you, my problem probably my easiest deal was my first deal, right? So that one like, um, it's always set the bell for me for like this is what it's gonna be. But after that first deal, I didn't end up getting a deal for like 3 months.
Oh
Super,
wow.
like super, because we didn't have any systems in place. I got my deal from a fucking quote, no, from a driving for dollars list that my partner had built, right? After that, like that's all we had. We were buying lists in and out. We were barely figuring everything out. We didn't probably put structure into the company until like 5 months in, and then after we put structure, I ended up doing over like $18 million in contracts, and in like that 7 month period. So throughout that period, I had so many shitty deals.
So,
I
so the for the you got your pay 25,000. Did you notice mentally? Did you like, oh, this is 25,000. I can like let off the gas a little bit, or
no,
was it just like, hey, we don't know. You're where I am, right? And you're just fucking learning as much as you possibly can every day,
yeah,
figuring out all the pieces.
yeah. I think what went through my mind at the time was I can make this money really easily if I could do it this easily, which was completely wrong. It was a terrible, terrible
Because
decision.
it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work, and I didn't realize it at the time because it came really easily. It was like that little blessing in disguise that like I did it. It was a blessing in disguise that I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, because I went through so many hardships after that, where it was like money blew like this because nothing was happening. And even though like I was pushing the gas harder than I've ever pushed before, nothing was happening. And it was a struggle, honestly. And really putting those systems in place changed my life, because once we put those systems in place, that allowed me to basically like level up extremely, because I was able to like literally consistently be getting leads, consistently be getting leads. And if you're not having that, if you're not having a lead flow like that, you're literally just not gonna get too far. I promise you, you're not gonna get too far. So it's really important. That's why I always push for systems, because like, it's really easy to make six figures winging it at the top of the market. It's really easy. But when you're at the bottom of the market and you're winging it, I promise you, you're not gonna get far. So that was probably one of my biggest lessons. And then like money management. Money management, for a 19-year-old getting paid that much money. I mean, an 18-year-old getting paid that much money, it really, man, about a lot of stupid shit.
So there's I'm sure there's other a lot of other guys and girls who are watching who might like be in a similar situation where they don't feel like they have control of their money, or that they just don't feel like they have any money, or that they don't know how to get it. What
Yeah.
like advice would you have for them, being that you've already gone through that like psychological barrier of getting all that money in at once and then letting off and just, hey, this is actually really easy, but it takes a lot of work, and having the systems and processes in place to like move the ball forward. What advice would you give to that person who's just starting out and they're not necessarily with it in terms of the money portion of things yet?
Okay. So a lot of people know their point B, right? A lot of people have in mind, like, I know exactly where I want to go. I know the destination, and they have a clear vision of it. And that's amazing. That's really powerful, because that's your main driver. But even less people know their point A, right? They don't know where they're starting. They have no idea what the beginning is like. And that's probably the most important piece, because you want to make sure like you know where you're at when you're moving forward, right? So what I mean by that is like a lot of people have money that they don't even realize that they have. And this is what the thing that my mentor Levi taught me. He's like, look, there's so many people out there with hundreds of thousands of dollars in their bank account, but they haven't even realized it yet, right? Credit, you guys. Credit is a powerful tool that you should leverage. And it is so important that you go ahead and take care of your credit and build your credit correctly. There's so many tactics to go ahead and, go ahead and build that credit and use business credit and use tax deductions and things along those lines. These are all things that you should be established on before you even start a business. Because at the end of the day, these are going to be the things that go ahead and help you scale. You think 99% of the people that are scaling their business are doing it with their own money? No, they're using credit. They're leveraging. And that's what's so important. Like my partner is leveraged all the way up. And even then, like that money was just put back into their cars and built up again. I know this guy named, it's funny, his name is Justin. Um, he has around like $18 million in credit, 1,800 credit score. He literally just goes by and buys properties, commercial properties with credit. And it's important that, like, not only we do that, but we're able to go ahead and leverage ourselves, leverage the people around us, OPM, other people's money. It's
Other
extremely
people's
important.
money, other people's time.
Yeah, it's important. You don't want to use your own at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want to build a business to be the CEO. And then once you're the CEO, you know what you want to do? Hire the CEO. You don't want to be a CEO.
Exactly. Constantly leveling up.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome story. Like, especially, it's exciting to see the progress you've made, but
Hmm.
also curious to see when we touch base in 4 years from today, all the
Yeah.
progress and growth that you're going to be going through.
Yeah.
So tell me about what's going on right now. What are you What are you looking for? What do you got in terms of like happening in the business and everything now?
So right now we're still scaling. We're actually we have new partnerships going on. I don't know if you've heard of Rafael Vargas. We're currently working with him on different projects and things along those lines. We're entering the multifamily space because at the end of the day, everybody wants to have cash flowing assets. So that's one of the biggest things we want to go ahead and do. And then probably on the pinnacle of that is going ahead and educating people. So at the end of the day, we want to create partners, right? Most people when they're educating you, they don't really care if you succeed or not. And our biggest thing is like we want to create partnerships so we can go ahead and move forward with you and make money with you in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Business is a long-term relationship, and that's the only way that we're seeing it. And that's basically the two big things. And then self-development shit. Self-development, man, that's probably like a huge thing because it's just foundation for everything that you're doing. It's so important. And most people, like, they're driving their business. It's like this. A lot of people want to go 200 miles an hour, right? They want to be in that Lamborghini going 200 miles an hour, but they don't realize they're driving a Honda. And you can't go very fast in a Honda, right? It's probably gonna break down. You're gonna need exchange pieces. So the most important thing that I tell people is building that foundation, making sure the car that you're driving to the top is something that's gonna get you to the top, and working on yourself, working on your business, working on that structure, putting those systems in place that's gonna benefit you and the people around you, because you don't want people working for you at the end of the day and not having the same vision you have in mind because things aren't producing. So you have to make, yeah.
No, I was just going to say that's awesome. I just had two more things. What do you personally do for your self-development at this moment? Because I know it changes over time. And then how can people get a hold of you too if they wanted to like ask you questions or just touch base and see what follow along on your journey?
Yeah. Biggest thing is the biggest thing I do is reading, right? Um, Reading and working out. That's probably like my two biggest things right now, right? And then I would probably say networking third because like I feel like that's definitely a part of self development because you're developing your self network. So that's probably the three biggest things right now. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. I just finished. One second. I just finished Thank and Grow Rich. How to be thankful for the things around you, and I felt like that was a good foundational key because a lot of people we say we're thankful, but we don't truly feel thankful. So being thankful for every situation, even if it's positive or negative, it's part of the journey. And when you're on a journey, it's important to be focused on that.
That's very
And,
great. Grateful stuff. Super powerful. Go ahead.
and you can reach me on Instagram on just dot secure the bag. SECURE bag.
And for anybody else, I'll put his Instagram handle down below. So if you want to jump over there and say hi, just check out the description in the video. If you have any questions for Justin or myself, leave them down below because we'll go through and answer those too. And we can do it in a future video or something potentially if you want to answer other questions. And don't forget to subscribe and press that thumbs up button and share this video with somebody. If you got any value out of what's coming out of this young man here who's just fucking killing it, share this video with somebody else who can get that inspiration and learn from somebody else's journey, because you don't have to go through it yourself. You can find somebody else who's already gone through it and learn from that person. So do you want to touch on anything else before we wrap things up?
Shout out to you, Sam.
Hey, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you taking the
Yeah.
time. I really do. I appreciate you taking the time and coming on and answering questions when I have them. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys later.